In this video, I will tell you an inspirational true story about Colonel Sanders, the founder of world-famous fried chicken recipe. There was a man born a long time ago somewhere in the United States. Brought up in a simple middle-class family, his father was a loving family man and used to work in his farm. When he was 5 years old, one summer afternoon, his father came home with a fever. He saw his father in pain, but did not understand what was going on. That day, the doctor was called twice. He could see from far his mother crying. He got scared as that was the first time he saw his mother cry. Later that day, his father died. He was too young to realize what has happened, but will always remember that summer afternoon all his life. After his father's death, his mother started stitching clothes of other people and also got a job in a factory. At the young age of 7, he learned how to cook food to feed his younger siblings as his mom was away working. One day, he baked his first bread. He wanted to show this to his mother, but his mother was working in a factory 3 miles away. He grabbed the bread and took his 5-year-old brother and sister along with him. 3 of them walked 3 miles across the field so he could show his mother his first loaf of bread. When they reached the factory, he started searching for his mother. His mother saw him from far, carrying a loaf of bread in his hand and having a huge smile on his face. She came closer to him, held the bread in her hand, and gave him a big hug. At the age of 10, he began work as a helper in the farmland and then took up a job painting horse carriages. He left school after the 6th grade so he could work full-time. His life moved on, job after job. He sometimes worked as a conductor. He then joined the United States Army for a while, then cleaned trains and even worked as a helper in railway construction. Maybe he was never satisfied. Maybe he was still searching. At the age of 18, he soon got married and had 3 children. One day, he got fired from his job. Once he reached home, his wife was gone. There was a note from his wife's brother saying, "She had no business marrying a no-good fellow like you who can't hold a job." He then later convinced her to come home. Later on, he studied and practiced law for some years, and after that he even became an insurance salesman, all this while moving from one career to another. At the age of 30, he established a ferry boat company. The ferry was an instant success. He sold the shares of the company and started a new one, wanting to do something bigger. He established a company manufacturing oil lamps, hired salespeople across the country. The business initially started well with some new orders coming in every day. He felt, yes, finally I have made it. But destiny had some other plans. A company named Delco introduced electric lamps and the venture failed. Then he started working as a salesman in the Michelin tires. But there too he lost his job when the manufacturing plant was shut down. He again started looking for some work and traveled to different cities to find it. While coming back with no money in his pocket, he was looking for a lift to get back home. A man stopped and picked him up in his big car. He shared with the stranger his story. Now he is looking for some work. That manager turned out to be the state manager for Standard Oil. The manager asked him, "Would you like to run a service station?" He had no experience of what it takes to run a service station, but he said yes. For 6 years, he managed the place successfully. He sold more fuel than anywhere in the state. But then the Great Depression came. His station closed down like many other businesses at that time. As luck would have it, at that time Shell Company offered him to run a service station rent-free. At the age of 40, he started a new service station and also started serving food. People loved his recipes. He did not have any seating in the service station, so people would eat in his adjacent living quarters. The business grew big. He later bought a motel nearby and converted it into a 140-seat restaurant. He was finally successful, but when he was 63, his booming restaurant took a massive hit. A new interstate highway was built which took traffic off the route where his restaurant was situated. His business collapsed. His restaurant was auctioned in front of him. He could not do anything to save it. He was almost bankrupt. It was his life's biggest failure, but he still wanted to try. All these failures taught him one thing: not to give up. He decided to sell his recipe to various restaurants at a small cost. He borrowed $87, went door to door to try and sell his recipe. People told him he is getting old and he should retire. What will he achieve in trying to sell a good-for-nothing recipe at such an old age? But he did what he always did in his life. He moved forward. He lived in his car for 2 years, but everywhere he went, there were rejections one after the other. He was rejected 1,009 times. Finally, at the age of 65, he met a restaurant owner. He cooked his recipe and made him eat it. The owner liked it. He said yes. Now, decades after that one restaurant, the number has grown to over 20,000 restaurants across the world, with annual sales reaching over $23 billion. All 20,000 of them serving the same recipe, which a 65-year-old man was trying to sell and was rejected 1,000 times. He is Colonel Sanders, founder of the Kentucky Fried Chicken. If he would have given up or accepted failure, there would have not been any KFC. Hundreds and thousands of jobs which were created because of him would have never been created. We don't even try to achieve our dreams because we fear failure or remember the failures of the past when we tried and failed. We don't realize that failure is inevitable. Throughout history, there has never been a single human being who has never faced failure. So why should we fear what is and what always will be there? If your heart is pumping, if your mind is ready to accept challenges, it's never too late to try achieve your dream. It's never too late to learn something new. It's never too late to experience something beautiful. It's never too late to keep on trying. No matter how many times you fail, it's never too late. It's never too late. If you're new to Generally Explained, consider subscribing to the channel as I upload motivational, inspirational, and educational content.